Would everyone please rise? Gentlemen, please remove your hats and join the show choir in the singing of the national anthem and flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good evening, family, friends, faculty, and fellow graduates. I'm Sarija Ganganeni, Senior Class President, and it is my honor to welcome you to the graduation ceremony of South Fayette High School's class of 2018. Well, that's later in the speech, but it's okay. Well, we did it. The world we live in today is plagued with many dangers: violence, global warming, bad hair days, no more cookies at lunch. And despite all the odds, we still managed to graduate. So let's give ourselves a big round of applause. We've now all accomplished one of the major early milestones of our lives: high school graduation. We are all here tonight not only to celebrate the achievements of the incredible people behind me, including myself, but also to welcome forth all of the extraordinary opportunities that we have before us. It is an act not only of personal commitment, but also one of pride. Everyone here has a different college they're going to, a new job that they're starting, or just a new journey that they are going to embark upon. It's like those choose-your-own-adventure stories we used to read as kids. I somehow always ended up dying at the end, so phew, I'm here. It feels as if just yesterday we were getting on the school bus for the first time while our parents gathered, waved, and took pictures. Just yesterday, I thought I was ready for college in middle school by surviving 3 days at camp without my parents. And just yesterday, I received my first dose of agonizing high school summer homework. And just yesterday, I walked into my first day of physics class senior year and thought, what did I get myself into? But we did it. We've struggled, we survived, we succeeded. We still don't know who SF Crush is. But 12 years later, we are here. On a day like this, it's appropriate to stand back, take a breath, and recognize how far we've come and how well we've aged. Most attractive class ever, am I right? I can speak for all of my classmates behind me when I say that each of us has a unique South Fayette memory to reflect on that we will never forget. Maybe you danced all night, won whippioles and state championships, raised hundreds of thousands of dollars to fight pediatric cancer, or danced on a boat at prom under the moonlight. Maybe it was the teachers, Mrs. Sirk forcing her students to learn cribbage, screaming, "Quirk alert!" every time Mrs. Quirk walked towards you on a mission to get something done. Or Mrs. Habib's technique to always box and highlight your answers. Maybe it was the very brief joy we had from turning our friends' backpacks inside out when they weren't looking. Or watching your friend try to break the record of how many of the school's amazing cookies he could eat. It could be the car rides with your neighbors to school in the morning, or how you got kicked out of a club for losing rock, paper, scissors almost 25 times in a row. Oh wait, that's just me. Or maybe it was the way we all got so emotionally invested in Gavin Parisi's college decision. We have truly accumulated exceptional moments these 4 years of high school that will remain close to our minds and close to our hearts for a lifetime. Today, we stand proudly in front of our teachers, administrators, friends, and families, upholding the highest tradition and values of South Fayette High School. Tomorrow, we are propelled into the unknown in whatever path life may lead us. We are only at the beginning of our journey, and there are endless great things to come. And just as the parents gathered for our first time off to school 12 years ago, today they gather with us once again as we stand tall in our caps and gowns, transformed into confident and mature young men and women. So thank you again to everyone for joining us on this special evening. And to my fellow classmates, even though this may be our last few hours as Lions, we left our mark, and now we are entering the world with limitless amounts of knowledge and a heavy heart filled with Lion pride. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Aaron Skirvin, and I am privileged to be the principal of South Fayette High School. Along with our associate principal, Dr. Laura Hartzell, and our entire faculty and staff, I'm honored to welcome you all here this evening for the commencement exercises for the class of 2018. It is now my honor to introduce to you our new superintendent of schools, Dr. Kenneth Laquette.
Well, welcome again, and good evening, students, faculty, parents, and family members. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the South Fayette Township School District, I welcome you to the commencement ceremony for the class of 2018. I'd like to thank many people who've worked tremendously hard to make today possible. I'd like to thank High School Principal Mr. Aaron Skirvin, Associate High School Principal Dr. Laura Hartzell, Susan Vasilani, and especially Jody Holly, High School Office Assistants, Teresa Burrows with her magical decorating touches, Dean Stewart, Director of Maintenance and Grounds, Steve Timmons, Custodial and Facilities Management, Rob Warfield, IT Director, and our sound system this evening, Christine Ellick, Music, which we already heard some beautiful moments, and of course to our faculty and to our staff. I'd also like to recognize Dr. Billy Rondinelli, who recently retired from the school district, who's sitting up here on stage right next to me and has supported this class for the last 4 years. And we're thrilled, Billy, that you could be with us today. So to the students, what's next? In many ways, it's a strange and complicated world that you'll be entering. One much more complex from the one I entered when I graduated high school 30 years ago. One that is ripe with rapid changes and disruption, driven by ongoing advancements in technology. And because of these advancements, particularly in the areas of artificial intelligence, entire industries will disappear and others will arise. And the workforce, because of all this, is predicted to become smaller. Unlike the past, a high school diploma and a college degree no longer ensure employment. What is for sure, however, is that everyone will need some form of ongoing post-secondary training to be employable and to be successful. So with so much uncertainty and change, how does one truly prepare for the future? No matter what path you take or passion you follow, there are three things that I believe will aid you into becoming successful. In the end, I will narrow them down to one tweet. First idea, hashtag, develop global lens. The world is not that big and it's getting smaller. You are going to undoubtedly be interacting with people from different cultures. Pittsburgh alone is an international city. There are more than 400 foreign-owned companies in this region from over 35 different countries. And every nationally owned company in Pittsburgh does business all over the world. You will continue to meet people from different countries, and the more that you recognize, respect, and understand the similarities and differences, the more you'll be ahead of the next person. In 1993, I joined the Peace Corps and was one of the first group to go to Kazakhstan in the former Soviet Union. Kazakhstan was a newly formed country at the time and had only been in existence as a country 2 years earlier with the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991. Kazakhstan was an oblast, or like a state, in the Soviet Union. And during the Soviet age, precious natural resources, specifically oil and coal, were mined and shipped to Moscow for refinement and distribution. It was under communist rule, and many of the communist structures were still in place when I arrived in the country. In fact, we were told by the American Embassy that each volunteer had a KGB agent assigned to us, but we would never see them. Many ethnicities were in the country, but the two most dominant were Kazakh and Russian. In many cases, both cultures existed and intermingled together. The 54 of us who were in the Peace Corps volunteers, we trained 2 months in the capital of Almaty before taking trains to our designated sites. I was assigned to the southern city of Jambul and was swept away from the train platform by a welcoming committee and immediately taken to a banquet where I was the guest of honor and certainly wasn't prepared for. I was the first American ever to enter the city or town of Jambul. I was not really dressed for the occasion. I was in a pair of blue jeans and a Muddy Waters t-shirt and just come off a hot 6-hour train ride. But I was greeted with open arms and was overwhelmed with the smells of food and other spices. As part of being the guest of honor, a sheep's head was brought to me on a platter. See, it was a tradition in the Kazakh culture for the guest of honor to carve the sheep's head and gift the various parts to specific individuals. The cheeks were going to the youngest, the eyes to the wisest, and so forth. My eyes must have been big as saucers when through a language student serving as an interpreter told me something in the sense of, "Silly boy, it's just ceremony. You don't really have to do it. Drink a toast and be done with it." Over the time I spent in Central Asia, I learned much about the cultures there, and that knowing a single toast in the Kazakh language could open doors and be an icebreaker for future trust. Now, you don't have to join the Peace Corps or go on a mission trip to a foreign country or travel abroad to expand your global lens, although all those things are very helpful. You just need to be open to recognizing, respecting, and accepting other cultures. It's not about one culture being right over the other. It's about accepting and communicating this. And doing so will help you relate and operate in a multicultural world. Again, it's a very small world. Hashtag, develop global lens. Idea number 2, make your own luck. I don't honestly really believe in luck. I guess there's good fortune in being born to a caring family who had the means to help develop me as a person. However, I strongly believe that things just aren't given to you. And in this world, you cannot wait for something to happen. You have to put yourself in the position for it to happen. In a recent article, Inc. magazine listed 5 powerful ways to make your own luck. Number 1, tap into your optimism. Studies have proven that more than 80% of the people who feel they're lucky actually work harder at creating good luck. On the flip side, people who feel unlucky tend to believe that bad luck just happens to them and all the time. And that isn't something that they have any power to change. Lucky people view the world with optimism. Hashtag, make your own luck. Number 2, be open to the possibilities. Get to know as many people as possible and help build extensive network of contacts. Constantly be on the watch for potential opportunities and work hard to make them all happen. Be open to the possibilities, even if it means embracing a different way of thinking about something or a big life change or a career change. Network, network, network. Make your own luck. Number 3, listen to that inner voice. A lot of times people don't listen to their inner voice, their intuition, and they soon regret it. How many times have you said to yourself, if only I'd listened to myself? The next time you have to make an important decision about the future, don't ignore your gut feeling. Make your own luck. Number 4, shoot for the moon. You've probably heard the saying, shoot for the moon and you might just catch some stars on the way down. You can create your own luck by setting goals that you're not sure you can achieve, and then going for it, and working hard to make them real. By working hard towards your biggest dreams, new opportunities can and will be realized, including some you may never have considered. It's called failing and learning from your failures. Make your own luck. Number 5, there is no finish line. In order to continue to create your own luck, you need to remind yourself that there's never a finish line. Never stop learning, never stop growing. Reminding yourself that there will never be a finish line and continuing to learn and to grow and remain optimistic will bring you the best of luck of all. Happiness and contentment with your life and who you are. Hashtag, make your own luck. And finally, hashtag, kindness matters always. It's easy to be self-centered, and it doesn't take much to show kindness to others, to friends, to family, and to strangers. It may even create opportunities for you. There's a lot of negativity and hate in the world, but without much effort, you can do your part. Recently on Facebook, I saw that it was the birthday of a former student of mine. Ruth was turning 35, has a beautiful family with 3 kids, and has her own photography business, where she posts gorgeous, creative portraits, each tableau telling its own story. She had a rebellious streak as a teenager and lost her mother to suicide when she was in college, and her mother was an artist as well. I was a college reference for her, and we stayed in touch over the years. I simply took a half a minute to write, "Happy birthday, Ruth. You have a beautiful family, and I enjoy your creative photography. I'm proud of you." She immediately wrote back and said, "Thank you. You do not know at all how much that truly means to me." Hashtag, kindness matters always. You can always make a difference, even in small ways. So as you complete this rite of passage of graduating from high school and go off into this crazy, ever-changing world, I leave you with this tweet. Congratulations to the class of 2018. Hashtag, develop global lens. Hashtag, make your own luck. Hashtag, kindness matters always. And hashtag, go Lions. It also gives me pleasure to introduce the wonderful people behind me that help make this all work on a daily basis. I'd like to start with our board and recognizing Mr. Alan Vezzi as our board president, Mr. Paul Brinsky, vice president, Mrs. Teresa Burrows, Mr. Leonard Ferdella, Dr. Jennifer Aridi, and Mr. Eric Kwam are all here this evening. And please give them a round of applause. I'd also like to introduce Dr. Billy Rondinelli, retired superintendent, Mr. David Duramo, assistant superintendent, Dr. Mandy Davis-Skurbitz, director of pupil personnel, Ms. Gretchen Tucci, assistant director of pupil personnel and our school psychologist, Dr. Conchetta Bell, assistant director of pupil personnel and school psychologist, Ms. Eileen Owens, director of technology and innovation, Mrs. Stephanie DeLuca, Curriculum, Technology, and Innovation Coordinator. Dr. Laura Hartzell, our high school associate principal. Mrs. Kristen Deichler, middle school principal. Mr. Kevin Maurer, middle school assistant principal. Mr. Thomas Kaminsky, intermediate school principal. Mrs. Lori Gray, elementary school principal. Mr. Tyler Geist, elementary and intermediate school associate principal. Mr. Brian Toney, who's in the audience, our Director of Finance and Human Services. Mr. Mark Keener. Mr. Warfield, who we have to work at the soundboard this evening, our Network Systems Administrator. Mrs. Leanne Jubas, Network Systems Specialist. Mrs. Kimberly Sahady, Staff Training Specialist. And not attending, but here in spirit, is Mrs. Maria Brewer Aguilar, our Assistant Director of Finance. Ms. Trish Wood, our Food Service Director. Mr. Brandon Subi, our Director of Transportation. Mr. Dean Stewart, Director of Maintenance and Grounds. And Mr. Steve Timmons, Custodial and Facilities Manager. If you'd please give them recognition.
Mr. Vezzi, members of the school board, Dr. Lockett, Dr. Rondinelli, excuse me, Mr. Duramo, fellow administrators, families, and guests, and most importantly, graduates of the class of 2018, good evening again. I am proud to stand before you as the principal of South Fayette High School, and on behalf of our associate principal, Dr. Hartzell, and our faculty and staff, it is my pleasure to welcome you again to the commencement ceremony for the class of 2018. You've often heard the phrase, the more things change, the more they stay the same. This phrase, sung by the likes of Bon Jovi, Kenny Chesney, who I'm sure some of you will see tomorrow, Cinderella, this thing is driving me crazy, pardon me, Cinderella, the 80s hair band I mean, not the princess, and quoted time and again in books and films, can directly be attributed to the 19th century French author and satirist Alphonse Karr. The phrase is somewhat trite to be sure, but it certainly applies here. As a class and as individuals, you have certainly changed and grown over your academic careers. But as I'm sure your parents will attest, that tiny, innocent child full of wonder is still in there, and to them always will be. As you have grown and changed, you have found much success in the classroom, on the stage, and courts in the fields. Your individual and collective ability to innovate, create, and embrace the ever-changing landscape of your world is enviable. As a group, you have partnered with and solved problems for corporations and nonprofits alike, built robots to destroy other robots, and then built robots to dive deep in the water and retrieve broken robots. You have debated world affairs, traveled the country and in some cases the globe, flexed your academic muscles at CalcuSolve and Hometown IQ, and created media gold. You have earned $3.8 million in scholarships. Among you are National Merit Scholars, Division I athletes, and aspiring Broadway stars. Some of you will scatter to the far corners of our nation to pursue the next phase of your lives, while others will scatter to the far corners of Cuddy, Sturgeon, Morgan, and Fairview. And that's okay, just keep an open mind. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Were there problems along the way? Of course there were. But through all of the turbulence of the outside world, and the turbulence of your own lives, you were welcoming and respectful of all views and people and treated them with dignity and respect. You have chosen to give of your talent and treasure to provide food for shelter pets, food for families at Thanksgiving, and to provide thousands of toys at Christmas so needy children have something to open on Christmas morning. You raised over $140,000 at Mini-Thon while bringing the entire community of South Fayette together to fight the scourge of childhood cancer. Tomorrow, many of you will run a 5K at the Glow Run to support the same end. You, more than any other driving force, have inspired your teachers to try new things and step out of their comfort zones as we collectively strive to remake and reimagine education in the remarkable new spaces we have been so fortunate to gain this school year. Your spirit of service and selflessness is constantly on display as volunteers for an exhaustive list of student and community organizations. A few of you have become Eagle Scouts, and a few of you have also chosen to take your commitment of service further by choosing to serve and defend our country in the military. At this time, I ask that the members of the class of 2018 who are enlisting after graduation please stand and be recognized. Thank you all for choosing to serve to defend our nation and our freedoms. You have been a part of remarkable changes during your 4 years at South Fayette. Just this year, you entered a new and remodeled high school, bid farewell to one superintendent, Dr. Rondinelli, and welcomed Dr. Lawquette. And this summer, Mr. Duramo will leave to pursue an exciting new opportunity in his career. For their collective vision, leadership, and earnest desire to do right by the students and families of South Fayette, we thank you. And please join me in giving them a round of applause. As a collective group, your talent, guile, and intelligence has propelled your school and community to regional and national prominence, and you have continued your predecessors' legacy of kindness, compassion, empathy, and dedication. But the best part about this is that to you, this is just South Fayette. This is just home. The more things change, the more they stay the same. As we progress through this evening's ceremony, take heed of the words of your peers and enjoy the moment. For as you cross the platform and receive your diploma, you change right before our eyes. No longer the wide-eyed, somewhat frightened, but yet excited kindergarten student many of your parents are recalling right this moment. No longer the somewhat intimidated but eager freshman you may be recalling. You now become the young adult, the high school graduate, ready to grab your future and take on the world. But always remember to be true to yourself, your values, your beliefs, and remember the foundation instilled by you by your parents and your teachers. The more you change, it's important to stay the same. Earlier today, some of my colleagues joked that I would end my speech with a mic drop. Now, while that would be really cool, that's just not possible. I personally am partial to historical quotes, so I'll offer this thought on change from Benjamin Franklin. When you're finished changing, you're finished. He's right. Change is what keeps life interesting, keeps us looking forward to our next adventure, and inspires us to do right and to improve our world for our fellow men. But what I really want to leave you with is this, and in fairness, only those who were at the senior banquet on Wednesday night are going to get this, but that's okay. Sir Topham Hatt says that you have caused confusion and delay. Now get back on track, get out there, and go get it. Congratulations, class of 2018. Continue to make us proud. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce the faculty and staff marshals for this evening's ceremony. Please hold your applause until all faculty and staff have been announced. From our Social Studies Department, Mr. Joe Solhanick, our department chair, Mrs. Megan Hackworth, Mr. Sean McCardle, Mr. Anthony Salvucci, Mr. Don Sekelic, Mr. Tyler Smith, and Dr. Felix Uracy. From our Mathematics Department, Mrs. Maureen Sirk, the department chair, Mrs. Alicia Dorsey, Ms. Shannon Roach, Mrs. Gina Roth, and Mrs. Marcy Ulam. From our Science and Technology Department, Dr. Stephanie Gutschall, department chair, Mr. Brian Garlick, Ms. Lindsay Grinko, Mrs. Naz Habib, Mr. Tom Isaac, and Mrs. Allison Okel. From our English Department, Mr. Gary Smith, the department chair, Mr. Dan Ball, Ms. Michelle Jenkins, Mrs. Kelly Reed, Ms. Jeannie Scott, Mrs. Tanya Shrewsbury, and Mrs. Nicole Simon. From our Business Technology Department, Mr. Brandon Flannery, the department chair, Mrs. Stacy Barth, and Mr. Matt Caprio. From our World Language Department, Mrs. Adrienne Endy and Mrs. Daniela Wiernick. From our Special Education Department, Mrs. Kara Pappas, Mrs. Mary Quirk, and Mrs. Jessica Rogowitz. From our Fine Arts and Early Childhood Development Department, Mr. Patrick McAndrew, Mrs. Erin Carranza Wood, Mrs. Desiree Dennison, and Mrs. Christine Ellick. And from our Student Services Department, Mrs. Chris Lane, Mrs. Christine Magdich, Mrs. Julie Martin, Mrs. Penny Miller, Mrs. Kim Sahady, Mrs. Emily Sharrow, and Mrs. Leslie Willits, and from our middle school, Ms. Diane Lally. Please join me in giving them a round of applause. They are a wonderful group of faculty to work with, and they love you kids. I'm now pleased to present and announce senior awards and recognitions to the members of the graduating class of 2018. Our first group of awards is the Departmental Academic Awards and represents students who have been chosen by the faculty in the various departments because they have excelled in a particular subject area. Please stand when I call your name. For Social Studies, Kristen Davis. For Science, Ruth Vic Pando. For English, Caitlin Kelly. Mathematics, Kritika Verma. For French, Anna Thompson. For Spanish, Alexandra Fico. For physical education, Ray Eldridge. For art, Mackenzie Fouch. For chorus, Emily Maloney. For band, Kristen Davis. For theater arts, Nina Autry. For childhood development, Jennifer Cohen. For the Pupil Services Award, Hannah Potts. For technology education, Donald Harmuth. For computer programming, Samuel Bartrug. For management and marketing, Bailey Pardee. And for accounting, Joseph Bastaroli. Congratulations. Our next group of awards are for seniors awarded for outstanding performance in the areas of academics, leadership, service, and sportsmanship. Again, please stand when your name is called. For scholarship, Kristen Davis and Gavin Parisi. That's okay. For service, Nicole Cronin. For leadership, Kristen Davis. And for sportsmanship, Andrew Saxton. Many organizations associated with the South Fayette Township School District have rewarded seniors for their achievements and contributions earlier this year. These are listed in your program, have been announced previously at Awards Night, Preschool Graduation, and the National Honor Society induction. Tonight we would like to recognize an additional award, the annual South Fayette Education Association Scholarship, presented on behalf of our South Fayette faculty. It is traditionally given to the highest ranking senior or seniors who will be pursuing education as a major. This year's recipients, each of whom will receive $1,000, are Bailey Gottner and Elena Karafilis. Congratulations. Finally, we would like to congratulate and recognize the members of the class of 2018 who are graduating with seals of distinction on their diplomas from the South Fayette Honors Academy. These students have successfully completed at least 5 advanced placement college-level courses in their high school careers, in addition to a slate of honors courses for their remaining core classes. The members of the 2018 South Fayette Honors Academy are, and please stand when I call your name, Nicole Cronin, Kristen Davis, Troy DeWitt, Srija Ganganini, Hope Hardman, Neha Joshi, Eshan Kadakia, Carrie McAdams, Kumadini Venkata Nagamini Samirja, Ruth Vikpanda, Gavin Parisi, Ishani Patel, Benjamin Patetti, Harman Rizicki, Nidhi Vedati, and Kritika Verma. Congratulations. This time it is my pleasure to introduce the valedictorian for the class of 2018. He is the son of Fred and Melanie Parisi, a member of the South Fayette Honors Academy, the National Honor Society, runs track and field, and a slew of other activities and events within the school. He has earned a cumulative and highly impressive 4.57 grade point average. In addition to his, in addition to his stellar academic performance, he is also a National Merit Scholarship finalist. After much debate, he plans to attend Northwestern University in the fall, where he will be majoring in neuroscience and English. It is with sincere pleasure that I welcome to the microphone at this time the 2018 valedictorian, Mr. Gavin Parisi.
Kind of feel like Oprah. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to what I hope is not the worst speech you've ever heard, although I make no promises. If someone would have told me 4 years ago that I would be graduating as valedictorian today, I probably would have at first been overjoyed and then been extremely confused, although I did write it as one of my long-term goals in 4th grade. Because every day that I ask who Rosa Parks is, or how to pop the hood of my car, or confuse Robin Williams for Robin Roberts, will remind Mr. Sulhanik that my name is actually Eugene, not Gavin, I wonder, okay, seriously, who's allowing this to happen? I'm the person who massages kale, doesn't know how to work a box cutter, thought New England was a state, and said that Jane Doe created the graduation project, and generally has no clue what he's doing ever. Nonetheless, the faculty somehow trusted me with this speech, and I can feel them already regretting their decision. So I guess I should move on to what Mr. Smith calls the very Gavin-esque portion of the speech. In other words, the overly dramatic and philosophical portion. But before we move on to this part of the speech, I want to extend some personal thank yous in a more traditional manner, because the rest of the speech may or may not make any sense. I first would like to thank my amazing mother, who has always demonstrated self-reliance, strength, and resilience, my sister, who has been my best friend for as long as I can remember, my grandmother, who most people know as Gwendolyn or Gwendolyn Hazelnut, my grandfather, my father, and the rest of my family, who has always supported me while also making sure to knock me down a few pegs when I need it. I would also like to thank all of my amazing teachers, Mr. Ball, who I worked closely with in Glow Run, Mr. Winans, who many of us distance runners know as Yoch, Mr. or Senorita Smith, who I forced to check all of my papers and college essays at least 10 times, Mrs. Sirk, who I tortured and convinced that I actually had 3 names, Gavin, Eugene, and Jebediah, Mr. Sulhanik, or as I like to call him, Jolene, Mrs. Habib, who inspired me to methodically box and highlight this speech, and the rest of the world-class teachers who make a perpetual effort to forge relationships with us. I know that when I am halfway across the country, literally freezing to death on Lake Michigan, I will be missing the warm conversations and comforting encouragement you always gave me. When I feel sad or lost, I will just hear Mrs. Sirk screaming at me to go to the boards, and I will immediately feel at home when I put the expo marker in my hands. Finally, I would like to thank all of the amazing people behind me. Thank you for never failing to impress me with your D1 sports commits, your endless devotion to student government and every other club and organization, your inquisitive nature, and your kindness and compassion, your ability to realize the strength in the community that we foster. I think that over the years, we've all grown together as a grade, and I can honestly say that I've never seen a class with more charisma, more compassion, and more drive than the one sitting behind me. Together, we have raised over $142,000 for childhood cancer, are about to raise even more tomorrow at Glow Run, qualified nationally at FBLA now 2 years in a row, had a girls cross country and a boys baseball whippeal champion just this year, and so much more. We are always able to make fun out of nothing and talk to each other no matter our differences. We are truly a unified family. No matter how many times our teachers call us lazy, which, let's be honest, isn't necessarily false, we have made endless marks on this school and will continue to make marks on the rest of the world. Thank you, class of 2018, for the most amazing 4 years of my entire life. When I entered high school, I was timid, had zero self-esteem, and spent most of my time fretting over grades that were 97.4. You all have forced me to realize the need for fun, happiness, and laughter. Although I may have started high school as an antisocial, unconfident, and generally sad kid who did not have many social skills, I'm graduating a person who never stops talking and genuinely knows how to balance work with play. Well, most of the time. And for that, I cannot thank all of you enough. I will never forget the things that we have accomplished, conquered, explored, and laughed at together. I know that the community we have built will forever remain an integral piece in each and every one of our hearts, pushing us past our full potential and allowing us to truly alter the nature of our world. Now that I've covered the typical sentimental graduation speech, I think it is equally important for me to address the future. After all, the term valedictory is defined as a goodbye or farewell. So I think that it's fitting for me to leave you all with an idea or philosophy, perhaps even a way of life or thinking that greatly altered my perception of life itself and will hopefully inspire you to always pursue your own personal, unique growth. Miles Davis once said, "Don't play what's there, play what's not there." And this is my response. You may say we live in a unique world, but it is full of uniformity. You may see the ocean waves and the large oak trees and the dirt ground, but then again, They all form into a singular, gigantic, blurry picture of existence. We see various faces with distinct lives and purposes, but really are they not all striving for the same level of satisfaction in this concrete, overruling, dictatorial, and zealous society? Perhaps there is an aspect of our world that is unique. But as I look across my surroundings, out into the horizons of our personas and into myself, I see only one type of thought, one aspiration, one end goal: to live. We as a people are preoccupied with survival, with living in a way to only evade the inevitable means to our end. Yeah, I suppose that living is satisfactory, but to say one has lived is the same as saying one has not died quite yet, and in this sense, is living not the same as dying? I want to be able to say that I have roared, chased, conquered, cried, fallen, risen, fought, climbed, hated, loved. To live is to sacrifice ourselves to the will of society, the duty to conform, the pursuit of an idea in concrete existence. Conformity is simple, easy as following a blueprint to your existence. Sure, you may live, but is that all you want? Do you want to merely pick up the guitar that is already in front of you and start playing notes which are already written? Look at a cookbook and follow an ingredient list which is already plainly out in front of you? Never be able to think what else was out there, what is beneath the surface of your own persona. Miles Davis may be insane for telling people to play what's not there, but it is this certain wildness which allows for our satisfaction, allows for uniquity and difference in the colors of our lives to become more concrete and less blurry. It is this uniqueness which allows for the creation of new thoughts, new ideas, pathways, and purpose. We must stop borrowing the guitar picks of our ancestors, the guitar picks of the lives which have preceded us, reading the music notes already crafted to form the perfect symphony, and playing the keys of our ancestors' pianos. We must refuse to recycle a dead idea to try and bring life to something which is too far gone. Instead, each and every second, we must try and formulate a new existence, throwing away every piece of every puzzle that was already made that exists in front of our eyes. I'm not saying we must forget those who have contributed to the painting of our world, but perhaps we might try to store it away. Look away from it for a few moments in pursuit of an idea which is new, which will break conformity. Following tradition is nice, but creating tradition is even better, as it shatters the blurry uniform canvas before us and in the same instant formulates an entirely new one right before our eyes. However, this canvas is only half painted. The music notes are only halfway done. The guitar pick is the only thing in the guitar case, and DNA is the only thing making us anything like those who made us, those who surround us, in the society which forces us to surrender to its conformity. The rest is for us to fill in with wildness, with whatever crazy ideas we have let pervade the surface of our personas. As we progress into the next step of our lives, encounter obstacles we never dreamed of encountering, experienced our wildest dreams, soared across the ocean, flown across the country, become world-class photographers, engineers, surgeons, CEOs, baristas, that's me, artists, the people we always thought we could become, we must remember to stay true to ourselves and our uniquity. Because in order to find any happiness, any sort of greater satisfaction in life, to live in a way that is more than not dying, we must begin to play what is not there. Thank you.
It's now my pleasure to recognize our 2018 Salutatorian, Ms. Kristen Davis. Kristen has served as our school board student representative for the past year, as well as been a part of the Little Green Machine Marching Band and an active member of student government and a slew of other student activities. She is a talented young woman who has dedicated her last 4 years to the pursuit of academic excellence at South Fayette High School. She has earned a remarkable 4.52 grade point average and is a member of the South Fayette Honors Academy and National Honor Society. She is the daughter of Paul and Lori Davis, and in the fall she plans to attend Robert Morris University, majoring in political science. It is with sincere pleasure that I welcome to the microphone our 2018 Salutatorian, Ms. Kristen Davis.
Good evening, evening, ladies and gentlemen, family, friends, faculty, administrators, and most importantly, the class of 2018. We made it, guys. It's finally the night we've been counting down to for years, and the one we'll look back on as we begin this new chapter in our lives. Yet, while it's the commencement of our journey towards something new and exciting, it's bittersweet knowing we'll never walk the halls of South Fayette again. For 4 years, we navigated the hallways despite people walking on the wrong side, huddled up with our friends between periods, and desperately hoped we could make it across the school in 3 minutes without having to break into a dead sprint. Every day, first period started at 7:20 with people running in before the bell rang, and 10th period ended at 1:58 as everyone flooded out of the school hoping to not get caught in the parking lot. But after tonight, we won't have these constants anymore. We have to figure out a new routine, a new normal, if you will. As I debated what to make this speech about, I genuinely had no idea what to say at first, and I tossed around probably 10 ideas before I arrived at this one. Fortunately, I kept coming back to the same idea of letting things change your life and being open to a little bit of discomfort. As you guys know, I play trombone in the band, but what you might be unaware of is that I had zero interest in auditioning for the Little Green Machine in 8th grade. Luckily, my parents, along with Mr. Maurer and Mrs. Carranza, talked me into it, and it is single-handedly the best decision I could have made in high school. I found my second family in the band, along with a sense of self that I doubt I would have solidified otherwise. I had to take that initial leap to find myself, and I encourage you to do the same as you walk out of this building for the last time and have to find new ways to explore your passions. Change is an inevitable part of life, and it is important to recognize how valuable it can be, even when not having a comfort zone to live in seems like the end of the world. If you're constantly thinking about the negatives that could happen, it's impossible for the positives to fully affect you. Life is full of opportunities waiting to be taken, but ultimately, it's up to all of you to grasp them tightly and create success that probably seems unlikely, if not impossible at first. Start small by taking a class that seems kind of out there, or making the first effort to talk to someone new. Not every achievement has to be life-changing by itself, but when you put them all together, your risk will bring so much reward. Of course, expecting everything to work out to plan is just a tad illogical, but in the words of Michael Scott and some guy named Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. For this class, taking chances and trying new things has led to so much success over the past 4 years. The honors management class, along with the entire South Fayette community, raised over $140,000 for kids fighting childhood cancer. And to do that, they had to contact sponsors, plan fundraisers, and design a 12-hour dance marathon to celebrate a year's worth of hard work. Things that all probably seem pretty frightening at first. The guys and girls in TSA and FBLA competed in events against dozens of other students in areas they studied in their free time and might have never heard of before walking in the front doors of the high school. The musical cast, crew, and pit learned the inner workings of Broadway production and just how much work it is to put together an entire show in about 4 months. Pretty daunting when late-night rehearsals had to be balanced with a mountain of schoolwork. Our student athletes tried new positions, events, and maybe even sports, and discovered a love for the game they were unknowingly waiting for, all while maintaining their grades and maybe getting some sleep. We've all conquered something over the last 4 years that seemed incredibly scary at first. And with those fateful leaps, we found happiness and maybe even some new passions to accompany us on our journey to the next stage of life. Most of all, we've learned that it's okay to be uncomfortable sometimes, because that means you're discovering something about yourself or others, for better or for worse. Without delving into the unknown every once in a while, you might miss a really fulfilling experience that fundamentally changes you. If there's one thing I have learned in high school, it's that sometimes you have to let the universe lead you instead of trying to control every single facet of your life. It seems cliche, but don't be afraid to try new things or join new groups just because they're unfamiliar. When opportunities are presented to you, take them and don't look back, because they could be the key to a lifetime of success that wouldn't be possible otherwise. As I begin to wind this speech down, I want to give a few quick thank yous. First, to my parents, Paul and Lori. It's weird calling you by your first names. Thank you for letting me try every crazy idea I brought you and never failing to support me in whatever I set my heart on. Not to mention helping me gain a reputation for wearing shorts in the winter. Without your love and advice, I never would have taken a chance on some of the best parts of my life, and you will always be the ones I turn to when I find a new problem to tackle. Of course, a thank you to my two sisters, Alyssa and Tegan, who helped me blow off steam after school and always give me a reason to smile. To every teacher at South Fayette, whether I've taken your class or not, thank you for helping give me the best education possible. Many of you have taught me not only how to do a two-sided Z-test or the names of the Tudor monarchs, but also how to be a human being who understands empathy and compassion, as well as a young woman who recognizes just how much influence she can have on the world. Most of all, a thank you goes out to my 194 peers sitting behind me. Without you guys, I would not have had such an amazing high school experience that taught me it's okay to not be right all the time, and that talking to people who aren't exactly like you is some of the best conversation to be had. I could not have asked for a better group to take on high school with, and whether you believe me or not, I will miss all of you dearly. Good luck with whatever path you decide to embark on once you leave tonight. And don't be afraid when things start to seem scary just because they're different than what you're used to. The world is waiting for you, class of 2018, so be prepared to take some chances, have some new experiences, and go meet it head on. Thank you.
A few years ago, at the urging of the Senior Class Council, we began to add the tradition of recognizing the top 10 students of the graduating class along with the valedictorian and salutatorian. So at this time, I'd like to recognize the following distinguished seniors who rank in the top 10. They have all worked very hard through their high school years and deserve to be recognized this evening for their accomplishments. Seniors, please stand as I call your name. Nicole Cronin, Kristen Davis, Troy DeWitt, Neha Joshi, Caitlin Kelly, Ruthvik Panda, Gavin Parisi, Christian Robinson, Taylor Vasilani, and Kritika Verma. Congratulations.
Hello, my name is Sam Grant, and I'm the Secretary of the Class Council. Tonight, I'd like to appreciate a lot of people who have helped us on our journey throughout high school. Without the help of countless numbers of people at South Fayette, our success throughout high school would not be possible. Every teacher, coach, custodian, lunch lady, bus driver, and more have dedicated numerous hours to ensure that everything that goes into a school day runs smoothly. First, I want to thank the custodians, who are constantly putting up with the dumb messes we make every day, such as spilling boats of fries all over the commons floor or spilling ketchup all over the lunch table. In spite of our messes, you keep the school looking beautiful. I'd also like to thank our lunch ladies for your dedication to making sure the food is prepared well and on time for the people like John Barrett and I who love to sprint to lunch every single day. The General Tso's chicken, buff chick pizza, and especially the cookies will never be forgotten. To our bus drivers, thank you for always getting us to school and back on time, and even going the extra mile to bring us to sporting events that are far away. It couldn't have been easy listening to our loud music and singing on the way home from a win. Next, I would like to thank our coaches, because without them, our work ethic and our love for sports would not be nearly as great. You all pushed us past limits that we never knew we could beat. You helped us set and reach goals that we never thought were achievable. And although sometimes we felt like you weren't the nicest people, Coach Winans, we still love and appreciate the dedication you had to us in the South Fayette sports programs. Most importantly, I want to recognize the spectacular teachers here at South Fayette. Without them, our education and high school experience would not be as amazing as it was. Your passion for teaching and love for kids has helped to make us learn so much to better prepare us for the future. What makes you all different from other teachers around the world, though, is your ability to connect with students personally. Whether it's Mrs. Dorsey and Mrs. Sirk's mother-like kindness, Mr. Smith's controversial humor, or Mr. Fraser's guitar jams, you always made us feel at home when we walked through the school doors. As students, we each felt the love from you all, and for that, we thank each and every one of you. Finally, I would like to thank the class of 2018. We never thought it would happen, or at least happen this quick, but we made it. We're graduating, we're leaving, we're going off to do different things. But despite this, South Fayette and our class will always have a special place in our hearts because, well, it's been our home. We've grown up with these people for years. Most of us couldn't imagine life without each other. But within the next few months, we won't necessarily have the same friends we've had before. It's hard to think about it, it really is. But we've developed so much as people that I know we all have the ability to make new friends and make a new home wherever we end up. I wish us all the best of luck in our futures, and I know we're going to do great things. Thank you, and cue like Moe's.
Throughout our 4 years on class council, two fantastic men and this even incredibly supportive staff have helped guide us on our journey. Firstly, I would like to recognize math extraordinaire, Mr. Alexander Hobbs. Okay. For our first 2 years here, Mr. Hobbs was there for every council meeting and truly dedicated a great deal of his time to making sure that we were on track to graduate. He taught us about efficiency and proficiency. He taught us patience in all that we do, especially with the not one, but two breakfasts with Santa that we enjoyed so much. He's known for his sports references and Pittsburgh dad accent, as well as his several pairs of glasses that he likes to switch out from time to time to quotedly keep it fresh. Although Mr. Hobbs has recently chosen to step down from his position as council advisor for the underclassmen, his work and persistence will never be forgotten, and I would like to thank him for everything that he has done for our students. And now, hopefully he is reassured that what he has done to impact our lives has indeed made a significant difference. I now speak for the entire class council when I say that you are truly one of the biggest reasons why we were able to make the amazing accomplishments that we have. So thank you for your consistent dedication and hard work over the past few years. Now, one of my fellow council members will introduce the other class advisor and senior speaker.
Ben forgot to mention that Mr. Hobbs sadly could not join us tonight due to family illness, but we did get him a present. So my name is Emma Bradley, and I am the class historian. As the 2018 class historian, I've read and reread my list of responsibilities on council time and time again. To this day, our last day as high schoolers, I still am incapable of telling you what exactly the historian is supposed to do, except for writing this speech. Gladly, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Mr. Gary Smith, our senior tribute, who's not only served as our trustworthy class advisor, but was also chosen by the seniors to speak on our behalf tonight. When deciding who would say what for this evening, Mr. Smith asked me to be the one to give his introductory speech. This was an extreme honor, and he made sure that I knew this. Mr. Smith has spoken at graduation many times before, which means that many people have been in my same position. How on earth am I going to be able to outspeak all of those who have spoken before me? Nonetheless, here's my attempt in doing so, as I introduce to you my advisor, teacher, and even friend. Mr. Smith is truly a quality human being, but he manages to always get on my last nerve. I mean this sincerely, of course. He has one of the largest egos I have ever encountered, and he is absurdly confident. Not to mention that the man's entire existence is a paradox. P-A-R-A-D-O-X, paradox, one of the many vocabulary words I had to know for his class. He is arguably the harshest teacher at South Fayette, yet his students learn the most. He is honest and blunt, yet incredibly kind. He is sarcastic, yet sincere. His thoughts are intricate, yet his words are simple. He lives ordinarily, yet he is able to make life seem extraordinary. He contradicts himself in every way, and it is difficult to try and understand how, let alone why. Trust me, I've tried and failed several times before. Over the past 2 years, I've found that my main motivation is the opportunity to continuously annoy this man. From the endless bald jokes, pitiful puns, to the overall taunting, I can wholeheartedly tell you that I was extremely persistent in this tactic. Although Mr. Smith has always been seemingly patient with my torment, he has no tolerance for ignorance. He knows when you're lying, he knows when you're being lazy, and worst of all, he somehow knows your potential. He never let me give up on myself. He never sat back and allowed me to do less than what he knew I was capable of. Speaking of capabilities, it was not long before I found that Mr. Smith had the ability to make me cry. 'Twas the summer before junior year on a fine afternoon when I finally finished writing my analysis paper for the Crucible. I thought I had it in the bag. I could dust off my hands, pat myself on the back, turn it in, and receive my first A in Smith's class. I had never been more wrong. Though confident, I still decided to take his advice and turn it into him, so that he could review its contents and check it before grading. After all, he is notorious for giving out negative grades. Yes, you can receive less than a 0 on a Smith paper. Anyways, so I took his advice, and my naivety got the best of me as I opened the first few videos that were attached with a smile. 2 minutes in, and I was no longer smiling. Not only had I misinterpreted the author's intentions within the play, but my paper was quotedly mediocre. M-E-D-I-O-C-R-E. Mediocre. Not a vocabulary word, but still new. No, not new as in I had never heard the word before. New as in I never wanted anyone to ever use that word in reference to something I had written. How odd that a singular word, from a man who was practically a stranger at the time, could have changed everything I thought I knew. I turned in that paper not once, but twice more, each time taking the criticism to heart. Then, as I felt that all hope was lost, the last video arrived. "Good job, Bradley. You turned a pretty bad paper into a better one." Are you kidding me? After all that, the only thing this guy says about it is that it's better than pretty bad? I was infuriated. In that moment, I swore to myself I would never give him an easy time in class. I would argue with his every last word. A week into school, we got our papers back, and I looked around in fear as I heard the words, "Whew, thank God for the mercy 60s. Mercy? I knew that he had shown no mercy. He was brutal to me. My paper was the last to be returned. I flipped it over with my eyes shut while Mr. Smith laughed at me. This was it. My academic life was over. Smith would have all power over me for the rest of the year. I turned over my paper, and I received an A. Yet, I still kept that promise about fighting with Smith. He always says to me, "Bradley, if you have something to say out loud, it automatically loses its value." Well, here's my argument to prove him wrong. Mr. Smith, wherever you... Oh, hi, bud. I once told you that you are overly confident about yourself because you truly place little value within your own. I lost my place. There we go. I'm standing here in front of my class, the staff, and our family members, admitting that to me, your worth is ineffable. I say this aloud, and I will say it 10 times over, because some words are worth saying. Some words need to be heard. It is true that you have taught me to be more sparing with my words, and most times I'm extremely grateful for this lesson. But if I were to have been to allowed only speak one sentence about you, it would be that you are not only an amazing teacher and advisor, but you have helped to shape each and every single one of us and taught us how to be quality human beings like yourself. To me, your worth is ineffable. See, he has the ability to make me cry. I'd like to thank you with the warmth of the entire class of 2018 and from the bottom of my heart. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, I am honored to present to you the great Gary Smith. We also got him a gift, don't worry.
I think she's the only one who likes me as much as I like me. That is, I don't get choked up. I'm going to take a second. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, everybody. Being up here is it's a wonderful honor. I wanted to start as someone who is constantly trying to evolve as an educator. I decided this year that I was really going to embrace the whole makerspace way of doing things. So instead of writing a speech, I made this in the makerspace. So I'm gonna leave it here for like 15 minutes, and you're gonna look at it, and when I'm done, you're gonna tell me what I wanted to prove to you based on this makerspace. I feel like I have to apologize immediately for making fun of the makerspace, or else I'm gonna give this to Dr. Rondinelli. Thank you. For years of putting up with me, Dr. Rondinelli, I award you my speech for the class of 2018. I feel like I need to immediately apologize and say I'm all about the makerspace, I'm all about PBL, I don't need to get called into Dr. Lockett's office. My wife, quick aside, when I told her that I was speaking tonight, she did not say to me, congratulations. She did not say to me, I'm proud of you. She said, oh God, don't get another superintendent angry at you. That's the first thing she said to me. So my goal is to stay in Dr. Lockett's good graces and make sure I'm okay. But we can play a little game tonight. If you see Dr. Lockett laugh or smile, take a coin out of your pocket, put it in your left hand. If you see him roll his eyes or sigh at me, take a coin out of your pocket, put it in your right hand. And at the end of the night, I will be around to collect that change because I have to go to North Allegheny with Mr. Duramo when he leaves, when I'm removed from my position. So I've been lucky enough that the last 2 times I've spoken, somebody was leaving the district that I could go with them if I say something terrible up here. But I promised Mr. Skirbin I wouldn't do that. And speaking of Mr. Duramo, what a fantastic man, honestly and sincerely, what a great guy, and losing him, it hurts. And so if we could have a round of applause for Mr. Duramo. I think what I'll miss most about him is when he would just bust through my door in the middle of class and quote Shakespeare. And I think what I'll miss most about that is he doesn't actually know any Shakespeare. And so he would come in and do things like call me a fishmonger because he thought that was Shakespeare. And so I will miss him terribly. And again, well, I may not miss him terribly. I may be wearing black and gold with him at the end of the night. We'll see how that goes. Tonight I'd like to talk to you a little bit. The goal of my speech tonight is discuss generations with you, the concept of generations. And what I've learned from this generation behind me in particular. It may sound like a history teacher concept, but it's really not. See, nothing shapes literature more than one's personal experiences, and one's personal experiences are shaped by their culture and where they find themselves. This leads to the best literature. So the culture that surrounds us is what shapes us and how we read, and vice versa. It's a pretty interesting cycle that none of you have any interest in whatsoever. So I'm not going to talk any more about it other than generations are an important concept. I can hear the kids on stage thinking right now, say something stupid, say something. That's why we put you up there. So I'm going to get away from like the nerd lecture that I would typically give in this situation. But here's my point. Language is one of the key factors in culture and in generations. We've gone from the cat's pajamas to groovy to gnarly to fat to lit. So before I get into my discussion tonight and what I'd like to say about generations, I figured a quick slang 101 might be in order so that everyone is on the same page. If you guys are unaware of the terms that these kids use, I'm going to introduce you to some of those. Each generation always thinks that the next vernacular is ridiculous. But I remember saying some pretty stupid things that I thought sounded pretty cool. So I say embrace the change and try to adapt the best you can. For this portion of my speech, I've actually put together a visual aid. I specifically asked some volunteers to help. So when I call their names, if they'll come up, I'm going to have them line up in front of you. We have some visual aids for you. And first, I'd like to introduce the person who created our visual aids, Ms. Caitlin Baldini. If you'd come over here for me, please. I was going to draw these, but they would not have been nearly as cool as if Caitlin did them. So Caitlin's going to pass these out, and if they could line up on the green line as we do this. I talked Megan Broyles, Jess Bad-Stibner, Katie Allen, Moose, come on down. Moose is Haley Altimus. She likes it when I call her Moose. Katie Lombardi, Yash Navdia, Cougs, Mikey K, come on down. Maddie Burnside, Harmon Rozicki, Josh Hoffman, Ava Massetti, John Barrett, Emily Vezzi, Charlie Cribben, and Courtney Young. Courtney, please don't trip. We're all watching you, and you are incredibly uncoordinated. So please, unless you want to trip, that'd be a really cool story. So each of them has a picture. Caitlin has drawn these up for us with some definitions so that you guys can see some of the terms that the kids use. She's got a particular order that she's passing them out in. Eventually, I don't know what's happening. I didn't practice this, so I'm hoping this goes as well as I can possibly expect. We'll give Caitlin a minute to give everybody their signs. Here we go. You guys can spread out a little bit if you need to. Now, those of you who are holding this, when I read it, if you wouldn't mind holding it up so everybody can see it, and maybe even turn it around so your peers behind you can see this as we go through these terms. Are you telling them what it says when you hand it to them? Can they not read it? Is it not? Okay. By the way, I don't say any of these words, but it seemed like an important thing. Are we good? All right. Okay, so up first, and I'm making sure I get you come on, you share the stage with me. So if you're doing vocabulary well, not only are you defining it, but you're also putting it in a sentence. And since I would sound ridiculous reading these sentences, Baldini is up here to help me out. So the first one is it fam? Is that what? So Megan Broyles, ladies and gentlemen, Megan Broyles, and a graduate of the 2-year Smith Academy. She's had me 2 years in a row. She has fam, which means, what's it mean? You want to define that for us, Baldini?
Oh, yeah. So fam is basically someone you consider your family, but you don't call your family fam, you call your friends fam.
Very good. And what's the sentence for that?
What's up, fam?
What's up, fam? Very good. Thank you. Next we have J-Bad, as I call her, Jessica Badson. J-Bad's her tough name. Look, I called her that, and she got this, yeah, that's right, look on her face. She's holding GOAT. She's holding GOAT. Tell us what that means.
GOAT stands for greatest of all time.
And I'm particularly fond of this sentence that you wrote. Please share that with us.
Mr. Smith is the GOAT.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I didn't tell her to write that. She just did. Up next is Moose. A quick side note about Haley Altimus, because I have to say this. She scored 4 touchdowns in the senior Powder Puff game. That clap. She also helped us to win Junior Powder Puff. Some would say the single greatest accomplishment in the history of South Fayette athletics. Those some would be Mr. Flannery and me. Nobody else would say that but us. We won twice, and Moose was at at least 3 of those I was going to get in tonight. Moose was at the center of that. Moose is holding, is it lit? Do you have lit? See, this is why I can't say I'm lit. I'm even enunciating the T at the end of lit. I'm no good at this. What's it mean?
So lit normally means like fun or exciting, so this place is so lit right now.
It is so lit right now. Thank you, Caitlin. Then we have, who's in front of me? Is this, Katie, another graduate, 2-year graduate of the Smith Academy, although she almost didn't make it at the end of that second year. Senioritis hit pretty hard. Senioritis hit very hard at the end. She has Gucci. This is something I will never say, but what's Gucci mean?
Gucci means good, okay, doing fine.
All right, and your sentence?
Yeah, I'm Gucci right now.
You are Gucci right now, thank you. Then we've got shade. Katie Lombardi, she likes to be told that she's important, and we love her. And so, Katie Lombardi, I love you, and you're very important. That's why you're up here holding shade. Go ahead, what's that mean?
It means disrespecting someone.
Ooh, shade. All right, what sentence, please?
She just threw major shade on him.
Oh, all right. You don't want to have shade thrown at you.
No.
I will not throw shade at you, Mr. Skirbin, I assure you. Straight, is it Yash? Yash, my main man, Yash. Yash Navdi, I love this guy. He's got straight fire in front of him. Go ahead, Baldini, straight fire. What's that mean?
It means better than the rest.
Better than the rest. And what's our sentence?
The sentence is, this album is straight fire.
It's straight fire. You guys still say album? It's like it's still an album? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not that cool either.
I didn't know album
I
was
looked up the definitions on Urban Dictionary.
That is what I did too. Oh my God. So then we've got tea. Now this is one. So Ava Massetti has tea. Ava Massetti and I have had a love-hate-love relationship in that we loved each other. Then she whined for a month straight, so I hated her. Then I threatened her with bodily harm. Then she stopped whining, and then we went back to loving each other again. It's been a roller coaster, but at the end, I think we've really bonded, right? So she has tea. What's tea mean?
Tea means gossip.
Ah, tea. And give me the sentence.
So this one is normally when you walk up to your friends and you'll go like, girl, do I have some tea for you?
Nice. I have some tea for you. Next we have woke, Harmon Rozicki. Harmon reminds me a great deal of myself in high school in that he is very charming, people love him, and he is a weasel. So he is everything that I was and am to this day, and that's why he's standing up here right now, because no one reminds me more of me than Harmon Rozicki, which is why I want to hug him or punch him on any given day. All right, what's Harmon have? He has woke, right? What's woke mean?
So woke means being aware.
Ah, and the sentence?
I just watched a YouTube video on conspiracy theories last night. I am so woke right now.
Harmon, you dropped your hat. Do you want to pick it up? You okay?
Should have bobby pinned it.
He should have bobby pinned it on there. Next we have, and we're going to take a minute too, a member of the 2018 Baseball Whippeal champions. That's a big deal. He's got the medal on. I think that might be illegal. I don't think he's allowed to have, but Skirbin's not going to stop him. So there, he flashes that. Josh Hoffman has what? What is that? Is that extra? Josh Hoffman has extra. Caitlin, what's extra mean?
So extra normally means doing the most.
Okay, and the sentence?
Did you see what she's wearing? She's being so extra right now.
So extra right now. Right on down the line is, oh, I'm so glad that Mikey K got yes, because if there's anyone up here who's less likely to say yes, it's Mike Kugler. I call him the $1 Million Man because at Best of the Best, they gave him about $1 million worth of scholarship money. So what does yes mean?
Yes, or yas literally means
Yas.
yes. Yeah.
Okay, it means yeah, but it's an excited yes.
Yes.
All right, and give me.
Girl, your outfit right now? Yes.
Very good. Kugler, does that sound okay? Do you want to repeat it?
Yeah.
You're good, okay. Next, I know this one because I have been called this one on several occasions. Charlie Cribben, another graduate of the 2-year Smith Academy, who I'm amazed she got here tonight because I've never seen a human being leave her keys behind more than Charlie Cribben has and just not know she doesn't have them. She is holding up Savage. And what's that, right? She has Savage? We're still in line? What's Savage mean?
I kind of forget the definition I wrote down for that one.
Okay, make it up and keep it clean.
Charlie, can I see your sign? Not caring about consequences.
Yeah, and our sentence is?
I can't believe you just said that. You are such a savage.
Yeah, that's why. Who called me controversial earlier? Someone called me controversial. I like that. It was me. Next up is, Vezi, who, you might not know this or not, is one of the nicest people I've ever met, is Emily Vezi. So look at that face. Look at the face. Even everyone's shocked. I think she's one of the nicest people I've ever met. Emily Vezi has finna. Which, this is really one of the dumber ones. My whole speech is about how we should respect the next generation, but this one's dumb. Go ahead.
Finna literally means going to.
So the sentence is?
I'm finna graduate tonight.
Nice. Nice. Down there next, Courtney Young. She didn't fall on her way up here. She said to me, do I have to do anything particular when I come up there? What if I trip over my own 2 feet? And I was actually kind of planning on her tripping. That's why I asked her to come up here. She let me down, but look at her face. Look at how angry she is. All right. She has salty. She is salty right now. Go ahead. What's that mean?
Salty basically means that you're mad.
And Courtney's a little salty with me right now for pointing out that she was going to trip.
You just said a sentence.
I did say a sentence. I'm learning. Next, we've got Snatched. Who's down there next? Who's got, all of my Maddie Burnside jokes don't work in this forum. So I'm just going to say, Mr. and Mrs. Burnside, if you want to hear anything about your daughter, come talk to me after graduation. But for this, she's wonderful. That's why she's up here. She enjoys French fries a great deal, right, Maddie Burnside? All right, go ahead. What's the definition?
So snatched kind of means that you're blown away.
All right, in the sentence?
Did you see Rihanna's new makeup line? I'm snatched.
Oh, and last but certainly not least, I was hoping maybe he'd wear his dragon costume tonight from the video, but he didn't. John Barrett is holding finesse, which I think of all the words up here, nothing quite sums up the class of 2018 quite like the word finesse. And what's that mean?
Finesse kind of means like scamming your way or getting what you want.
Yes, and the sentence is?
I just finessed this diploma.
They just finessed this diploma. Ladies and gentlemen, please applaud for my assistants. Will you go collect the signs? Caitlin's gonna come get those signs off of you. That went well. I thought maybe something terrible was gonna happen, but it didn't. And that's good. So far, I got a job. Dr. Lockett, am I good? What's the? You're good. I'm good. Keep that change though, you don't know. I'm savage, I love them. There's a movement that I've seen on social media, and it's called unpopular opinion. This is actually kind of what prompted me to write tonight's speech. It's where it all comes from. When I was looking for the best way to explain this idea, I, of course, went to Urban Dictionary, the internet's leading spot for out-of-touch middle-agers, to figure out what kids are talking about. It actually says it in the banner, "Are you over 40? Why else would you be here?" There are two definitions. I think they're both accurate to what I'm going for here tonight. One is the act of ranting about your opinion, but at the same time knowing nobody cares, which is synonymous with my educational career. The second is an opinion disputed by the media as well as most of the popular population, which is actually more of what I'm shooting for here tonight. I want to make some people a little annoyed with my statement, and I want others to celebrate it, but mostly I want people to think about it. So here it goes. Here is my hashtag unpopular opinion. Generation Z will be the greatest generation our country has seen since the actual greatest generation. And I can already hear the sighs and see the eye rolls, but let me defend myself and let me defend Generation Z. First, let's give just a quick explanation of generations. Years are by no means specific. Depending on where you look, they vary from 3 to 4 years. And of course, they're generalizations. Generations typically go about 20 years. You can't possibly clump everybody into a 20-year span. But in general, these are people who are raised under particular cultures. They're not scientific, but here, a quick overview. If you're born between 1910 and 1924, this is the greatest generation. They lived through the Depression, they fought a war, they saved a nation. From 25 to 45, we call the silent generation, born into stifling conformity. They saw post-war happiness, peace, jobs, television, and the suburbs. Then you have the boomers, 46 to 64. On the bright side, boomers are known for a strong work ethic. They're known to be disciplined and driven, but on the negative side, they're often called a little self-righteous and a little self-centered. You got Generation X, which is where I think most of the parents fall, and I do also, from 65 to 79. Positives, we are independent. We are the latchkey kid generation. We're fluid in regard to technology in that we remember what it's like to not have it, but also we've learned to adapt to having it. But on the negative side, we're a little bit cynical and a little bit wary of commitment. We are also the divorce generation. The group that takes the most heat, and I think it's unwarranted, is the millennials from 1980 to 1998. They catch heat for being coddled by their parents. They fall prey to the everyone gets a trophy mentality, and they are often considered to be way too relaxed about their work. But they are the most team-driven and inclusive generation, and just because they would rather live instead of work doesn't necessarily make them bad, and they actually show declining crime rates, do the millennials. However, what I really want to focus on tonight is Generation Z. These young ladies and gentlemen behind me, Generation Z set up shop in 1999, roundabout 1999. And I've read a great deal about this generation the last couple years, and in particular is a guy named Ryan Jenkins, who does marketing, who writes a lot about particularly marketing to millennials and Generation Z. He's done it for Coke, he's done it for Wells Fargo, and I'm just mentioning his name to cite him as a source. So my own observations and some of his is what put this list together tonight. I like lists when I defend myself, so here are the top 5 reasons. There are many more, but the top 5 reasons why I believe Generation Z is going to prove to be the greatest generation. 1, they interact with technology in a way that most of us cannot even begin to comprehend. The only way I can really defend it is there's a Bain quote from The Dark Knight Rises, and I wish I could do the voice, and I can't. Dr. Laquette can, but I'm not going to ask him to come up here and do the Bane voice, but he does do a great Bane voice. Senora Clonan does too, but she's not here tonight. So I adjusted the quote a little bit to kind of fit what I'm going for here, but there's a moment in the movie where Bane says, "You think technology is your ally. You merely adopted texting. I was born into it, molded by it. I didn't unplug until I was already a man, and by then it was nothing to me but blinding." They've only ever known a world with immersive technology. I had one of my kids today, one of my juniors, say to me, "We don't have that much technology. When I was in elementary school, I still had a flip phone, not like these kids today." I said, "You had a phone in elementary school." I had a rotary phone in elementary school, and that was the 90s, and I still had one. They've only ever known this world with this crazy technology, and some people view that as bad, but with the way the world is shrinking and what we see ahead of us, that is actually quite good. Number two, Generation Z is incredibly pragmatic and cautious. They witnessed their parents struggle through the 2008 recession. They were born around 9/11. They only know a post-9/11 world, unlike many of us. And so, unlike the unbridled optimism of the millennials, they are a little bit more wary and a little bit more cautious about the world around them. Number three, they actually prefer face-to-face communication. You may not agree with this, but think about when they are seemingly glued to their phones. They're FaceTiming, they're Skyping. They actually like to see the people to whom they are talking. Xers and millennials, we were so overwhelmed with this technology that maybe we overdid it a little bit. But these kids are finding a balance between actually using technology and still living in the real world. Number four, they're global. You heard Dr. Laquette say it. You hear everyone say it. Dr. Rondinelli has said it for years. They're global. The world keeps shrinking. And they have access to nearly all corners of it to learn from people of other cultures and belief systems. And lastly, and again, there are more, but for tonight, they're bucking traditions. And a lot of the older generations don't like this, but I think it's admirable. They don't believe in things anymore just because their parents told them to. They're trying to find their own personalities, their own identities more than in years past because everyone's plugged in now. And when everyone has a social media presence, it's harder and harder to be unique. I believe strongly that this generation is going to change the world in which we live, and for the better. For some reason, each generation inherently has an issue with the next, right? We think music stopped being good when we hit our 20s. We believe Drake will never be Eminem, and Eminem will never be Run DMC, and Run DMC will never be Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Earth, Wind, and Fire will never be Elvis. You get it, right? We think their styles are ridiculous. We think their haircuts are absurd. And I'm here to tell you, I had a mullet, all right? And I know that a lot of you out there had mullets. And for that reason alone, we should forget every Tide Pod ingested by this generation, okay? Because the mullet is a far greater crime to society than eating a Tide Pod has ever been. So next time you think about pooping, yes, that deserves a clap. Next time you think about, oh, they eat Tide Pods, you probably had a mullet. And don't you dare say anything. I did. I had the spike with the mullet in the back when I had hair. I'm sorry, I lost my place. I get so angry about mullets. Look, here's the deal. We always think the ones inheriting our world are idiots, and it's because we don't like change. We don't like to think we are wrong. How many times do you see articles, the millennials are killing this, the millennials are killing that? No, they're changing things, and we get mad because they're changing things. But that's what happens. The millennials are going to get mad at Generation Z eventually, but the world keeps on changing. We can't keep peppering the next generation with this in my day speech because it just doesn't work anymore. I have news for all of you. There were stupid, lazy people when my dad was a kid. There were stupid, lazy people when I was a kid. There are stupid, lazy people now. But there are a lot of really awesome people out there. There are a lot of really awesome people up here. Like Nikki Cronin, who sees the good in everyone, even when they do not deserve to have the good seen in them. And Abby Weselick, who stays calm and content and happy with the world around her. And Bailey Gauntner, who already knows she wants to dedicate her life to music and kids. And Letty Landaverde Guerrero, who tries to live the positive vibes only mentality. And Hannah Potts, who has so many great pictures of cats on her phone. I don't even like cats, but Hannah Potts makes me like cats. The Vassalani twins, and I can't separate them because I still don't know which one is which. I thought I had it down, and then this week I said Taylor, and it was Sammy, and I don't even know. But they're both awesome, and they both have this laser-like focus about them, that they are dedicated. And Emma Bradley, who I don't even have enough time to say all the wonderful things I want to after what she stood up here and said about me. But these are the kids who are shaping the world. If I can make one more quick aside, and I swear I'm wrapping this up soon. Every year the grad speakers voted on, there are 5 of us on the ballot, and so I asked the other 4 people who were on the ballot, I texted them, I said, if you could pick one kid from this class who gives you hope, one kid who really makes you feel like this world is moving in the right direction, who would it be? After Dr. Uracy took out his flip phone from 1996, and he touched each of the little T9 buttons 27 times, and he sent me like 27 pages of it, and I just narrowed it to, I said, 1 sentence, Doc, and he said, I am the master of the semicolon. And I said, I will edit that down. He said Neha Joshi, because she could be using her intelligence to do whatever she wants to do, and instead she chooses it to improve the lives of others. And this guy went as far, and this was a very sweet sentiment, to say if he had a daughter, that's who he would want his daughter to be. I asked Miss Scott, who's one of the sweetest, kindest, you want to talk about paradoxes, one of the sweetest, kindest, yet biting individuals you would ever want to talk to. And she said Alex Anton Mahfoud, because when asked about her life goals, Alex said she wants to try to be a better person. That's her goal, to be a better person. And from what Miss Scott said, it would be hard for her to be any better than she is. Mr. Fraser put down the guitar long enough to tell me that it was Dom Lazzini, because he is unfailingly kind, creative, responsible, and humble. And Mr. Flannery said Kritika Verma because she exhibits strength in the face of loss and allows others to stand on her shoulders while she quietly works toward making the world around her better. This is what teachers are saying about these kids, your kids, and this generation. This is Generation Z, and yes, there are moments of ridiculousness and arrogance and entitlement, and I have wanted to shake many of them on many occasions. But in the end, we all were like that too. The generation before us wanted to grab all of us by our shoulders and shake us. But in the end, they're going to be the ones who are changing the world for the better. And I truly believe in the annals of history, they're going to be the ones who are recognized as making a far greater impact than we did. I happen to believe they're all pretty awesome people, the ones I've taught, the ones I have not taught. There are so many of them on stage, well, I can't say stage, so many of them on the gym floor tonight that I think are just wonderful. And I wish them nothing but the best of luck moving forward. I have one goal as a teacher. I truly strive for this. I say this all the time. My only goal is to make kids laugh and think. I just don't want to be the one they dread coming to. I say all the time, do you dread coming to my class? No? Then it's a victory. Timmy Loker, of all people, Tim Loker, said at the end of the year, you're lucky you're so likable because you give us so much work. And I said, well, no, Tim, you're lucky I'm so likable. It's not me. But it was such a nice sentiment from Tim to say, I can put up with the work because you're an easy guy to be around, and that's all I'm going for. So I'll close by thanking the class of 2018 tonight for this opportunity. I'm honored and blessed to be up here. Thank you all for putting up with my shtick while I stood up here. I wish you all nothing but the best. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Neha Joshi, and I am the student body president for this school year. In my role, I've had the opportunity to see all of the students in this school grow through this year. As I learned about what makes each student special, I looked at my peers in the senior class and wondered, what defines the class of 2018? Out of the 195 of us graduating, how can we all be encompassed in a single image? Each of us has our own story and aspirations. There are 195 futures that we will be stepping into when we leave South Fayette. Each of us is on a different path of life, and during our time here, our paths came together, only to be separated once again. As we move through the world on our own, we will still have each other, years after graduating. We have found the beauty in the convergence of our lives, and although we may have our own futures, we will always feel the connection to each other that we forged as children and teenagers. I find it amazing to hear about each person's aspirations. Some of us want to become entrepreneurs, others want to be politicians, and still others will be teachers and create a community for others like the one we have found in South Fayette. We will be exploring the corners of the world, chasing our dreams. But as we go forward and change the world, it is important for us to stay grounded and remember where we came from. South Fayette has provided a basis for our success and an environment where we could thrive. Being a student here has allowed each of us to blossom into whom you see in front of you today. 195 graduates eager to take on the challenges they have chosen. Painting the personality of this class means encompassing each person's individuality and tying us all together as the class of 2018. The Lion Hall drawing is meant to do just that, represent each person's uniqueness, yet bring us together as a single class. This year's Lion Hall artist has flawlessly depicted the class of 2018, embodying us as a cohesive group, yet emphasizing our distinctiveness. It is my honor to introduce the Lion Hall artist for the class of 2018, my friend, Elena Karafilis.
Good evening. I've always had a fascination with the sky, the way the sun and the moon work together day after day, and how each star has a place in the sky. When I feel lost, I look up and wonder how our world moves so freely, yet with such a purpose. Now more than ever, at the end of my senior year, I wonder how everyone in this room has managed to live a life so unexpected and chaotic, all while finding their place, because none of us truly know what our future holds. Yet we carry on, fearless. And as I sat down to create this piece, I wondered how I could represent each person and still make it look unified, as if we are all parts of a working machine or all people of one world despite our differences. We all come from different corners of the world, and after today, we move on outside of South Fayette to be a part of it once again. So I drew this line looking up into the sky, wondering where his or her place will be after today. I created the mosaic of triangles, each pointing in different directions, yet still finding a way to fit together, just as the class of 2018 has. And finally, I draw the Earth, because before this year, I never noticed how big the world truly is. It's grand and magnificent, it's diverse and full of life, with something new to discover at every corner, but it is our responsibility to keep it that way, to ensure joy and see the world every day as if we are seeing it for the very first time. So with this piece, I challenge you, all of you, to look up and admire this world we have and all it has to offer, to take life by the reins and join it rather than watching it pass by. Don't let age take your curiosity, but use it as a force against your fears. Take action. For every story you've ever connected with, every leader you've ever admired, every little thing that you've ever accomplished is the result of taking action. You have a choice. You can either be a passive victim of circumstance, or you can be the active hero in your own life. I dare you, class of 2018, be your own hero.
Dr. Locquette, members of the School Board of Directors, I certify that the members of the class of 2018 seated before you who are receiving their diplomas this evening have met the graduation requirements of the South Fayette Township School District and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
By the power vested in me by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, it is my privilege to attest that those students have met such requirements and upon receipt of their diploma will have officially graduated from South Fayette High School this first day of June, 2018.
Mr. Vezzi, I now present to you the official roll for the class of 2018 for the presentation of diplomas. Preston Renz Alcorn.
Katie Eileen Allen.
Haley May Altimus.
Stephen Joseph Anton.
Alexandra Anton Mafood.
Gavin Robert Aubrey.
Nina Catherine Autry.
Jessica Lynn Badstibner.
Caitlin Gabrielle Baldini.
John James Barrett Jr.
Samuel John Bartrug.
Joseph John Bastaroli.
Emily Marie Battistone.
John Michael Beck.
Margot Louise Beck.
Tyler Neal Badillion.
Haley Marianne Black.
Court Elise Blatz.
Dylan Joseph Bollinger.
Camille Rose Bonacorsi.
Emma Marie Bradley.
Alexandra K. Brown.
Amara Lene Brown.
Megan Riley Broyles.
Madison Nicole Burnside.
Jordan Lee Caputo.
Joshua Manuel Carey.
Jacob Edward Carney.
Nicholas Robert Carter.
Dante S. Cesari.
Carlin Marie Shamako.
Thomas Robert Chamaco.
Jennifer Rose Cullen.
Sarah Rose Conley.
Morgan Grace Cook.
Charlie Samantha Cribben.
Nicole Amber Cronin.
Michael D. Cusick.
Michael Richard D'Amico.
Kristen Irene Davis.
Grant Joseph Davrin.
Maria Anna Grace DeCello.
Troy Russell DeWitt.
Zachary Joseph DiGiacomo.
Alicia Mae Duncan.
Colin James Dunn.
Marissa Ann Eccles.
Connor William Egan.
Ray Garrett Eldridge.
Megan Ray Fabianic.
Alexandra Jade Ficco.
Mackenzie Lee Fouch.
Anthony Joseph Galliotto.
Sarija Ganganetti.
Bailey Madison Gauntner.
Megan Elizabeth Gatos.
Samantha Jean Gilbert.
Marissa Nicole Gamigliano.
Delaney Nicole Ging.
Samuel Joseph Grant.
Madison Grace Gutierrez.
Michael T. Harkarick.
Hope Sarah Hardman.
Donald Howard Hermuth.
Adnan Saeed Hassan.
Ryan Robert Hayes.
Kirk Haggerty.
Autumn Rose Heineman.
Noah Robert Heinrich.
Rachel Jane Helbling.
Jasmine Renee Hill.
Joshua Vincent Hoffman.
Abigail Christina Hahn.
Matthew Stephen James.
Madison Marie Johnston.
Neha Prasad Joshi.
Ashan Sitanch Kadakia.
Kevin Michael Kamek.
Elena Marie Karafilis.
Alexandra Ann Keeling.
Caitlin Kelly.
John Mitchell Ketchum.
Andrew Richard Knez.
Haley Marie Kozar.
Samantha Rose Kazmaki.
Michael Ralph Kugler.
Emily Noel Kuklinski.
Trevor David Kalenich.
Joaldi Pablo Landaverde Guerrero.
Letty Celeste Landaverde Guerrero.
Dominic Joseph Lazzini.
Timothy Harris Loker. Gary Connor Leffler.
Catherine Michelle Lombardi.
Noah Victor Magdich.
Brianna Christine Maitland.
Emily Ann Maloney.
Glenn Michael Manny.
Sean Patrick Daniel Mansfield.
Braden John Marinac.
Taylor Joanne Marmarelli.
Olivia Renee Morrow.
Ava Marie Massetti.
Silas Edward Mays.
Carrie Lynn McAdams.
Brenna Grace McGuire.
Raymond Anthony Mikesell.
Megan Elizabeth Milanick.
Mason J. Miller.
Abigail Ann Mitchell.
Rachel Marie Molinaro.
Judy Laura Moore.
Olivia Kathleen Moore.
Austin Daniel Morrison.
Jeremiah Andrew Mowery.
Kumadini Venkata Nagamani Samirja.
Maximilian McKee Nagy.
Yash Baldabai Navdia.
Giovanna Lynn Nellis.
Brendan Michael Nelson.
John David Obenauer.
Yakov Vladislav Olszewski.
Allison Lauren Palucius.
Ruthvik Sai Panda.
Bailey Alexis Pardee.
Nicholas Allen Paris.
Gavin Cirillo Parisi.
Ishani Piyush Patel.
David Albert Pettick.
Benjamin Daniel Patetti.
Noah Thomas Plack.
Natalia Plaza Escamilla.
Michael Jude Plasia.
Brandon Tyler Pogue.
Jacob David Ponikvar.
Hannah Jean Potts.
Akanksha Pradhan.
Matthew J. Prim.
Alexa Kate Radnick.
Dakshik Raghupathy.
Jesse Agnes Rajabala Anthony Yanasamy.
Sham Karnati Reddy.
Tyler Izzy Riley.
Jared Michael Renz.
Kimberly Sherelle Robertson.
Christian Scott Robinson.
Maria Regina Rocchino.
Christopher Vincent Rohde.
Garrett Arthur Rosa.
Asa C. Ross.
Micah Thomas Ross.
Grant Gerard Rossi.
Kenneth James Rossi.
Harmon Andrew Rozicki.
Jack Austin Ryan.
Zachary James Sabo.
Catherine Rose Sattler.
Sunil Nanak Savani.
Andrew Lee Saxton.
Taylor Katrin Scanlon.
Daniel John Sinisi.
Kyle Quinton Sharp.
Emily Rose Sims.
Kylie Elizabeth Simpronio.
Austin Michael Smith.
Samuel Jeffrey Snodgrass.
Nicole Elizabeth Spezialetti.
Jeremy Paul Stabile.
Alexa Carla Stevens.
Haley Paris Taylor.
Anna Elizabeth Thompson.
Samantha Elizabeth Vasilani.
Taylor Marie Vasilani.
Nidhi Vedati.
Kritika Verma.
Emily Nicole Vezzi.
Amanda Marie Von Stein.
Maria Claire Shear Wack.
Jacob Timothy Walker.
Rory Lonigan Way.
Isaiah David Weir.
Colleen Blair Welsh.
Nolan Kramer Welty.
Abigail Lee Wasilek.
Garrett Allen Wilner.
Hannah Grace Wilson.
Ava Loretta Wishon.
Courtney McKenna Young. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2018.
You can stay up. Would everyone please rise and join the singing of the South Fayette Alma Mater? Sorry.
South Fayette, may we be ever faithful to thee. May thy children all cherish thy name. For the good thou hast done, for each victory we've won, alma mater to thee all thy fame. Dear old High, thou hast served us so well. All thy virtues we never can tell. Other schools we may all soon forget, but we'll always love dear South Fayette.
There you go.
It's time. Okay.
Hold on. There you go.
At this time, it is my honor and privilege to ask all of my fellow classmates to stand and join me in the ceremonies of turning of the tassels from right to left, symbolizing our graduation from high school.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you for the very first time the newest alumni of South Fayette High School, the graduates of the class of 2018.
To make a